Okay, good morning everybody. Today I'm gonna teach you guys the basics of R&B songs. Okay, so we're gonna be in the key of C. Okay, that's the scale. Okay, so R&B songs usually start on the 4 or the 6 or the 2. Alright, so if I'm in C, I got the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then you go back to 1. So R&B song usually start on the 4, most of the time on the 4, and sometime on the 6, and sometime on the 2. Okay, sometimes they start on the 1, but that's rarely happen in R&B. So that's why you hear song like this. You hear that progression all the time. All right, so you start on the 4, which is the F. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So okay, so my whole life has changed since you came in. I knew back then. All right, so it start on the 4. Okay, and you got some songs that start on the 6, and some that start on the 2. So when I can think of that start on the 2 is Act Like That. Are you gonna up and leave me now? Are you gonna act like that? Are you gonna trip? How can you forget? Are you gonna... Okay, so remember, most of them start on the 4, the 2, and the 6. They rarely start them on the 1. Matter of fact, R&B songs usually don't use the 1. They usually don't use the 1. Okay, so when you play R&B, right? Whenever you play your minor chords, let's say you're playing the 6, which is the A minor. Make sure you always make it a minor 7. So you make it a minor 7, okay? So to make A minor, to make A minor 7, you just add the G, okay? Or you can play it like this. You can play it like that. I just add the G up there instead of down here, okay? So whenever you play your minor chords, always make them a minor 7 to give it that R&B sound, okay? Or you can keep it simple too, that's up to you. But in R&B songs, they usually make them a 7, okay? Now, for your majors, let's say you're playing the F, the 4, which is the F major. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Make sure you make your F your major 7s too. So major 7. Okay. But when you make your major 7s, you can add more notes. So instead of just adding make it a 7, so you can add the 9 too. So you can play the F like this. That's a nice way to play the 4, okay? See, I don't play that F because I already have F in the bass. So I really don't need that F. So instead of playing that F, I add the 2 or the 9, okay? So you hear that chord a lot in R&B songs. So okay, so when you play your majors, try to play them like that. Or if you want, you can just play it like this too. Keep it simple, or like that. But in R&B songs, they usually play it like this. So Okay, so you probably hear that a lot in R&B. See, so you probably hear that. What does that sound like? Doesn't this sound like Tripping on You by LMA? Tripping on You, look, listen to it. It kind of sounds like Tripping on You in it. See, that's R&B right there. You make it a 7. You see? Okay? That's an R&B sound to me. They usually play the 4 like that in R&B, that inversion right there. So, you see how I'm playing it? Like this. They usually play it like that in R&B. That's an R&B sound right there. Now, when you play the 5, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, okay, which is a G major, you can play the 5 simple. You don't have to add. In that case, it would be the 7, the dominant 7, but you don't have to do that. You can play the 5 simple, or you can just add the 2 or the 9 if you were in the in the key of G major. So okay, you can add that. You can do that, but you don't have to. The 5 sound great without adding any more notes to it. So sound like does it sound like boot up or Tripping on Young. That sound like one of those R&B songs. If you listen to a lot of R&B, this should sound familiar to you. This progression right there, from the 4 to the 5. Okay, so make sure you make your minors minor 7 and make your majors major 7, except for the 5. The 5 you can just play it simple. Okay, so and also there's another thing they do in R&B. So sometimes they make the third a major. So if I'm in C major, 1, 2, 3, if you know your scales, you know the third chord in the scale is always a minor. Okay, the third chord in the major scale is always a minor chord. But sometime in R&B, they will make it a major and then use it as a passing chord. Okay, they will make the third chord a major. So instead of making it minor, they will make it a major and then use it as a passing chord. Okay, so that's why in R&B you hear that movement. You have to hear this in some type of R&B songs if you've been listening to R&B for a while. So okay, so what I'm doing here, I'm going from the E major. So see, E major, which is the third chord in the scale. So E major to the 6. Okay, this movement usually work really good when you're going from the when you're going to the 6 or when you're going to the 4. So if I'm going to the it sounds good when you're going to the 4 and when you're going and when you're going to the 6. The 6, the E, the A minor. Okay, so you hear that a lot in R&B. So whenever you go into the 4 or you go into the 6, you can do that movement. So you can just play the major third to the, okay, and let's try. We're gonna try it in a progression. So let's say I'm playing this progression, right? So 4, 5, 6. That's a very common progression in R&B. I made a video about it, so you can go on my page and look for uh, a very common progression in a very common chord progression in R&B. Okay, so let's say I'm playing. Yeah, I can do that. You know what I'm saying? Instead of I can use the major third as a passing chord. So you can use it. You know, they use it as a passing chord. There's a lot of things they do in R&B, but these are the basics. You know, you can R&B can get very complicated, but if you know the basics, you should be good. The basic R&B, like the R&B, especially modern R&B that you hear on the radio. That's all. That's what they do. They use basic stuff, and um, and also you can add some blue. Like if you trying to learn your blue scale too, that probably help you out with playing R&B, because you know R&B is rhythm and blues. All right, so yep, that's all I got for y'all. Hope that helped.